Hey everyone, Tony D. Welcome to the Piney podcast. Today's numbers looking pretty steady. Looking over the last 3 days, new cases are hovering around 3,000 at this point. Last few days seems to be steady now. 3 days in a row at around 3,000. The deaths still seem staggeringly high, and it's getting more press than the fact that things seem to be leveling off, which is really, really kind of annoying to me because, again, it's the idea if it bleeds, it leads. You know, that these news organizations just have to keep reporting bad news constantly to get you to read, to get you all hyped up. And I think, while it may be good for your newspaper or your media outlet, it's not good for the mental health of the people of New Jersey or the people of the country. And in fact, I read an article that said, the use of drugs to settle people down because they were stressed out has gone way up. Doctors are prescribing that like crazy because people are freaked out. The mental health is important as the physical health of people. The numbers are now starting to be reported, and the real numbers are they suspect the asymptomatic cases. In other words, people who got the virus and really didn't have any symptoms, stayed at home. They're now estimating that it's 50 to 80 times higher than the cases we have. And by the way, the cases we have across New Jersey, while the cases are 81,000 people have tested positive for the beer virus, there are only a few thousand people actually in the hospital, and less than 2,000 are like in the ICU, hooked up to ventilators and really, really bad. So you got a lot of people, more people than normal in the hospital, and you've got more people than normal who are on death's door, and you got more people than normal who died. But you have to understand that this incredibly infectious virus is now, with those new numbers, close to, it's still worse than the flu, but it's comparable to the flu. So, I believe the flu is 0.1% death rate. And, and now they're saying that this could be as low as like 0.12, which is higher, but not much higher. It's still more. Could be 0.2, which would be double. A lot of people more contagious than the regular flu, but we have to keep these things in perspective, because if the economy crashes, if people are out of work, like permanently out of work, they lose their homes, their lives could be ruined for years to come. And that's going to lead to more drug use, more crime, more death, more suicide. I personally don't know what I'm going to do by the time the fall comes around if I don't have any work. It's tough to get work right now, I'll tell you that. As a freelancer, I'm looking every day, but there's not much out there, and it's tough, and it's going to be tough for a while. I realize that. So people have to do what they have to do to survive, and they will. So keeping people cooped up in their homes is not good for their mental health. And now that we have a handle on this, now that people are aware of social distancing, now that store owners are now enforcing the mask rule, I don't have a problem with a store owner who owns a store telling me, hey, buddy, you better wear a mask or gloves. You can't go in here. That's his store. He makes the rules. I either follow them or go to a different store. So I think all the store owners are on board with that. They don't want to be sued, and they certainly want to, please the governor. So I don't really see much of a problem with letting stores and businesses start to open if people are going to enforce this rule. If you're going to keep stores open, but not that many people inside, there are plenty of stores out there. They don't have many customers regularly. If you own a small store, you sell knickknacks, you sell greeting cards, you sell games or comics, something like that. There's never a million people in your store anyway. So, I go to comic book stores all the time. And if I do a signing, sometimes there's not more than 2 people in the store for hours. So, I don't really see a problem with letting people start to open their stores. As long as they're taking precautions, I don't think we need to check on them, because I don't think most people want to get this. Now, yes, there are a few hardcore guys. Some 73-year-old codger somewhere in New Jersey walked into a store. He didn't have a mask on. They asked him to leave, and he made trouble, and he ended up getting arrested. That is not regular happenings. Okay, that is an aberration. No offense to that guy. I'm not calling him any names, but most people are fine with wearing a mask or something now. And if he's not, well, he's just either going to have to get with it, or it's their store. They could throw him out. They could throw you out of a store for any reason. I've been thrown out of stores. I've been thrown out of stores a bunch of times. I was thrown out of a Philadelphia Starbucks, by the way. Not the one that was on the news a few years back, but a different one for the exact same reason that the guys who were thrown out of the Starbucks on South Street were thrown out for. I went to the Starbucks to meet a client. He was running late. I didn't have any money. Well, no, I did have money, but I decided to wait, because usually I wait for the clients because they usually pay my bill, and I didn't want to pay for my own iced tea. So I sat at a chair, and it was pretty crowded, and I was kind of sitting like this, and the guy said, "Are you going to order something?" I said, "Well, I'm waiting for somebody to order." He says, "Well, I need you to order something, or you're going to have to leave." And I said, "All right." So I waited outside. No big deal. He eventually arrived. We went in. He bought me an iced tea, and we had our meeting. So, there are people who are they're just difficult, or they're having a bad day, and they react badly, and you just have to deal with them. Now, some people are just beyond help. They no matter what you say to them, they're looking for a fight. They're looking for a confrontation. And again, you just have to deal with it like an adult. The most professional thing you can do is try not to engage. You just try not to engage. You just say, "Sir, I appreciate your your situation. I understand that you don't want to wear a mask. I just have to tell you that that's now our new store policy, and I'm not allowed to let you in. So if you go into the store, I'm going to have to call the cops and have them drag you out of here, because you're not listening to me. And I have to make you hear me. I'll be happy to provide you with a mask, or I'll be happy to let you in if you come back with a mask. I could tell you where to get masks, but I can't let you just come barging in here at this time. You're going to freak everybody out. Do you want to freak everybody out? I mean, that's what you try to negotiate with people. And some people just aren't going to listen to that. They just know what they know, and they don't care, and they're selfish, obnoxious, whatever you want to call them. You just have to deal with them like an adult. But you don't do anybody favors by not acting like the adult. It has to be, an adult situation. So you warn the guy, he doesn't want to listen, you call the cops. And you say, "Look, we're going to press charges against you. Sorry. I'm going to call the cops now, and you're going to be arrested." And if he says, "Well, that's fine," and then say, "Well, we're going to press charges, so there you go, bleep, 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 bleep," and you call. So there's not much you could do about these kinds of people. They exist in society, and some of them, they're just contrary to be contrary. So we need to open things back up. Okay, and obviously New Jersey was hit pretty hard, but that was mostly in the north and mostly close to New York City. The further south you go, the lesser the impact. You know, you're talking a few hundred cases. I think we still have under 2,000 cases down here in Camden County, and we're right next to Philadelphia. So that means there's even fewer people in the hospital and even fewer people in the ICU. So the hospitals are handling it. And now there's also data to suggest, comparing the states that didn't lock down with the ones that did, comparing the countries that didn't lock down with the ones that did, there's really no difference in the infection rate. So whether or not you lock down may not have a significant amount of difference in whether or not it got spread around, because it's so contagious and because, you know, it got so far ahead of everybody. You know, you may not even be able to blame, and I say this, maybe the Chinese government. It may have gotten so far out of control from the Chinese government initially, although they didn't warn people, and they could have back in November, that there was no containing this. It may be that contagious. It certainly seems that way when it lives on surfaces for days, and you know, virtually anybody can get it with one contact or a close conversation. So maybe it's nobody's fault, but I think it was the Chinese government's fault. But maybe not. It's certainly not anybody's fault elsewhere outside of the Chinese biolab that unleashed it. So we may have to put up with this for a little while longer. You know, I think the governor is, you know, I don't like that they had a protest here. They're arresting people. I don't like that. I do not like them ticketing people for being outside. I think that's wrong. I think that's too far. You know, you want to have cops and you want to warn people, and if they push the cop or something, yeah, okay, then they could get arrested. But this idea that you're going to fine people, we all know what that turns into. It turns into a money-making operation for the state and for the county. And let's not have that. I don't want to get a state fine every couple of years because I was out without a mask in flu season one fall and I forgot my mask. I realize these are different times. People should wise up. People should get their head on straight. But I think we could all be grown-ups here. And the ones that aren't grown-ups, they're going to snap. They're going to do something or say something. And then maybe the cops could do something to those people. I don't know. But I don't like the idea of the state telling people they can't go outside. We need to open things back up. And, you know, this is just going to get worse the longer things stay locked down. So I think Governor Murphy should really look towards allowing some of the other counties to slowly start to open back up. And I realize, again, Bergen County's, you know, in pretty bad shape. There's a lot of the cases were in Bergen and the counties up north. I get that. They may have to stay closed a little while longer. But, you know, down in Cape May, hardly had any cases. And this idea that you can't go to your summer home, look, if you have a summer rental property that's been empty for a month, there's no way the virus can be alive in there. So, you know, if anything, it's safe for people to go there. You know, they're not going to get infected by going there. And if people take proper precautions and, you know, really clean the place, now you're going to have to, if you have a rental property, my God, you're going to have to clean like nobody's business. You know, and same thing with the hotels. They're going to have to clean like they've never cleaned before. And that's all there is to it. I mean, at least for a while, to keep people from getting sick. Eventually, we're going to have a vaccine, and, you know, they're going to narrow down the specific antibodies. It'll probably be something akin to the malaria drug, Z-Pack combo, something in there to alleviate all your symptoms and things. And once we get all that, yeah, COVID will be around every year, but so what? You'll just take your medicine and you'll be on your way. So let's open it up, South Jersey. I'm ready to get out of the house, and I love being cooped up in the house. So if a guy like me wants to get out, you know we've been cooped up a little too long.